Two screens, two different views. That's what we're all about. Welcome to Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
This is Shane R. Monroe.
And this is Chris Henschel.
And welcome to another edition of Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
Dual Screen Radio.
Dual Screen Radio.
Live at the Trocadero Center. I don't know.
Dude, what was that?
I was going to say something center, but then I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's a local thing. And I'm thinking nobody will get that.
Well, it probably would have been better off than the...
Yeah.
At the big complex in your city.
Oh, yeah, for us it was always at the Tacoma Dome or the King Dome
right.
in Washington. That's where it was always at ours, the monster trucks. Yeah, I think everybody's got that. Anyway, Gravedigger and Bigfoot. Didn't we use that gag on another show?
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, too bad. Anyway, this episode we've got all sorts of good things coming for you. What are the best DS games in different categories? We worked long and hard on this. I think we started, yesterday?
Yeah, I think we worked all 10 minutes. Yeah.
That's right. So we've got a nice list for you. This is going to be really cool if you're one of those people that don't have a DS yet, or you're trying to decide what you want for your DS, or you're shopping.
Right, if you want to get something for that new potential DS player.
Yeah.
You know, some good beginner titles. We're going to narrow down the genres and kind of give you our heads up to what we think are some pretty decent games to start people out with.
Absolutely, I think there's good value in this editorial.
Good value.
Yeah, good value. We've got several categories we're going to talk about: puzzle games, RPG or role-playing game type games, platformers. Games for the casual non-gamers, as a lot of people who own DSs are. Action games, the games with the most replay value, adventure games, sport games, racing games, and a couple of games that deserve an honorable mention, even though they didn't fall into one of these categories. So, Chris, do you want to start them off?
Yes. A lot of people, we kind of did this earlier in the year. You know, we were kind of giving some people some ideas of what to expect early on when they're first purchasing the system, some heads up on what we recommend would be some great titles. You know, I thought it would be a nice idea to just kind of round things off, you know, to see what good stuff has come out, since a lot of titles have come out. You know, I mean, RPG alone, you know, earlier in the year we had basically one RPG, you know, Lost Magic. And it was a pretty barren wasteland in terms of the genre. And now we actually have choices. So right there is enough to warrant you know, something between me and Shane and I to discuss what we recommend.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to talk about is the puzzle genre, and some of these different choices here. Some are going to be a little different. Some are going to be similar to each other. Since we kind of have pretty similar tastes and I think more or less in gaming. Other stuff are the total opposites. So anyway, for the puzzle genre, my two choices would have to be either Tetris or Magnetica. Either way, I don't think you could go wrong with either of these titles. We've reviewed both of these games in prior shows. Tetris is, of course, a never-ending favorite. I mean, since the game came out in the mid-'80s, it's never gone anywhere. You know, you're going to constantly be picking this game up. Just an infinite replay value, for that matter.
Well, with online play, you know,
well,
you have humans to play anytime you feel like it. So, like you said, infinite play value, and that's something that, you know, it's really hard to put a price tag on. There's a lot of games, you know, you'll finish in 12 hours and it's done, it's over with. But, you know, these are like herpes. They're the gift that keeps on giving.
3 in the morning, you want a case of herpes, get on the Tetris Wi-Fi.
Yeah, get on Tetris Wi-Fi and get some herpes. And, you know, and Magnetic, of course, is a good choice. We've always been a big fan, even back when it was called Shunkin' Puzzloop. So that's a good choice. I also went with Tetris as one of my two games to choose for the puzzle category. I don't think you can go wrong with that. It's instantly accessible by everybody. Online's great, as I've already mentioned. And I love Magnetica. However, I chose to go with Brain Age simply because of the Sudoku portion of it. It's still the best.
Good point.
Best Sudoku title out there by far, still, even though we've got like 7 other ones.
Of varying quality, yes.
Of lesser quality, varying quality. And even if you picked up Brain Age for nothing more than Sudoku, it's still worth $20.
Yeah, that's a good point, though, because I'm sitting there looking. at our picks here, and I'm thinking puzzle Brain Age. Is Brain Age really a puzzler? And then I just realized you said it yourself, Sudoku. I mean, that's worth $20 right there, I think.
Oh, you have no idea how many hours I've burned on Sudoku, dude. It's absolutely insane.
I think it's about 100 puzzles.
It's 100 puzzles, varying degrees of difficulty.
The interface is just fantabulous. I mean,
great tutorials.
It's probably the best electronic portable version of a Sudoku you could get.
Outstanding.
DS or not, and I've tried quite a few of them.
Yeah. So that's a no-brainer. If you've got a DS fan who's a Sudoku fan, or you're interested in getting in on this big Sudoku craze, this is the way to do it, because it's got, like I said, good tutorials. It teaches you, it walks you through, it tells you, it helps you understand the concept. It just doesn't throw puzzles at you. So that was my other pick for the puzzle game. Outside of the brain age portion of it, where training your brain minutes a day, look at this as just a Sudoku game, and that'll qualify it for the puzzle category.
Well, what's great is, I mean, this, and you've already said this, but I mean, this is the game that actually introduced me to Sudoku. I mean, I've seen the books laying around, and a lot of them are in the clearance sections of like Borders and Barnes and Noble, and I've always wanted to try it out and see what's going on. It was like a big fad. I've seen people at work playing it, but it's one of those games that's very hard to describe to somebody how to play.
Right.
But what's really fantastic is that the DS version of it in Brain Age will give you a nice little tutorial. It walks you through how to play, and that is where I learned to play the game. And that's amazing. It only took like seconds to figure out how it was played, and I'm already going, wow. So that's the mystery of this. How this mechanics work of this game.
Yeah, to me, Sudoku was like the first time I was able to see one of those 3D pictures.
Yeah, right.
It's like everybody was staring at these things going, oh, look, a sailboat. And I'm going, dude, I see nothing.
Right, like in Mallrats, yeah.
In Mallrats, yeah, you got to relax your eyes, man. And it's like, you see, my problem with those things, not to get too far off on a tangent here, but when you say 3D, I expect things to come out at you.
Yeah,
right?
attack you. Right.
And these 3D pictures, you're actually looking inside the picture. So once somebody told me, once I got past that, all of a sudden I could see them. But anyway, that's sort of the way Sudoku was. Once I actually got it, figured out what it was all about, I was hooked. So.
Yeah, I mean, avoid Sudoku Gridmaster and just go right for this.
Yeah, if you're going to buy a Sudoku game, folks, please don't get Sudoku Gridmaster. Do not get. Actually, Sudoku Gridmaster is better than, like, say, Sudoku Mania. Sudoku Mania was ass. I mean, there's no other way to put Sudoku Mania. That might be right up there with Elf Bowling and my least favorite DS games. So let's move on to role-playing games, RPGs. This is one of those things that people were screaming forever about, oh, the DS doesn't have any good RPGs and blah, 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 whine, bitch. So now we finally have some very good RPGs. Chris, what were your picks?
Final Fantasy III. Which
there's a no-brainer.
We're going to be reviewing, so we'll talk more at length then. And,
yes.
Of course, I wasn't too sure about my second choice, but from what I've played of Children of Mana, I had a lot of fun with that. Yeah. And probably once I'm done with Final Fantasy, I'll maybe go back and check that out a little more. But it was definitely a pretty solid little dungeon crawler type game. And, I almost want to recommend Deep Labyrinth as well, but that may not go over too well with a lot of people. I think that's going to be scorned because of the graphics. And at least Children of Mana, while it's a 2D game, there's nothing really going on here that I would say is really taking a strict advantage of the DS. It's still a pretty polished and solid playing little hack and slash.
Yeah, I like Children of Mana.
Diablo light,
Yeah, Diablo-esque.
Yeah, it's very light.
That's good stuff.
Of the game.
Of course, I also went Final Fantasy III. If you can believe it, Final Fantasy III, as Chris already said, we're going to be talking about in a review, so I'm not going to go into detail. But it's not like any other Final Fantasy game I've played, and I'm told that that's normal. But we'll talk about that in a minute. My follow-up, however, while I did like Children of Mana a lot because I'm a Diablo slut, I spent more than my share of time on Pokemon Ranger, which we reviewed just a show or two ago, I think, right? We talked about it at least.
Yeah.
In pretty good detail.
We had a review, I think it was maybe either last year or the one before that, yeah.
Yeah. And Pokemon Ranger is, I don't know how to describe it other than it's a very light RPG that has a lot of action elements. I love the capturing of the Pokemons. I like the concept. This is one of those games where if you took away the graphics, you took away the Pokemon license, it would still be a kick-ass game. So I had to go with that for my follow-up RPG. But it's so hard to have anything follow Final Fantasy III, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, it's easily. I think it's probably the ultimate RPG right now on the system.
So there's not much you can do to topple Final Fantasy III. So that's going to be the RPG. Yeah, it costs a little more, but it's worth it. Okay, moving on to platformers. Chris, your picks for platformers.
I'm going to have to go with New Super Mario Brothers.
No-brainer.
Which is, pretty much a no-brainer. Anybody kind of played a Mario game at some point in their life, if they're any kind of a video game fan.
Yes.
And New Super Mario Brothers, while I kind of blew right through it, they've never really been that difficult, in my opinion, other than maybe Part 3. The mini-games are just a blast also at this game. So once you finish the main adventure, you're going to just be playing hours and hours worth of mini games with other people, using the single card Wi-Fi play.
Yeah.
So also I'm going to choose a relatively new game, Kirby Squeak Squad, which we haven't reviewed yet, but hopefully maybe in the next upcoming show we'll get a chance to kind of look at that a little more. That's a fun game. It's also a little bit on the easy side, but the funtitude, as you want to call it, is it's a solid little game to just blow through on a weekend. Nice little rainy day kind of game to pull out.
With no mini games.
Well, you know what? I think it's got 4 different little mini games. I haven't really delved into them yet, so I really can't tell you what they are. But there's certainly nothing like you're going to get in New Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
But platformer speaking, this Kirby is a great little game. It's nothing like the prior DS release, Magic Paintbrush.
Canvas Curse.
Canvas Curse, yeah. I don't know why the UK version. I'm always getting that in my head. Probably because it's a cooler name. I don't know.
Yeah.
But those are my 2 picks. And what are yours?
Well, of course, New Super Mario Brothers, the no-brainer part of the game. Come for the game, stay for the mini games. That's what I say. Fantastic mini games, as close as you're going to get to Mario Party on the DS right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely, yeah.
And I did take a look at Kirby Squeak Squad. I wasn't as enchanted with it as I was with with Canvas Curse. To be honest with you, I thought Canvas Curse was a better game, but I know I'm in the minority. To me, this was Kirby Squeak Squad was basically a GBA game with a tummy on the bottom screen, whereas Canvas Curse actually utilized something of the DS's abilities.
DS's technology, yeah.
Which I thought was cool. So my follow-up, my second choice for platformers would have to have been Super Princess Peach. I did not stop playing that game until I finished it, which is unusual for me. It hooked me in hook, line, and sinker. I had a lot of fun going back and picking up the toads that I missed. I just thought it was a great platformer, and it's really too bad that I think it gets a bad rap for being a chick game, when in reality it's one of the better platformers. So that'd be my follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say, it was kind of a tie between this and Kirby Squeak Squad. Princess Peach was a lot of fun as well. And even though it was minimal use of the touch screen and its technology, the way the puzzle elements were implemented based on her powers, were a lot of fun to try to figure out.
I thought it was well done, yeah.
Yeah, it's a solid little game. So either way, you can't go wrong in any of these choices, in my opinion.
No. All right, moving along to games for the casual non-gamer. Now, these are the kind of people that, they picked up a DS probably to play Sudoku, or they picked it up, to play
Grandma
Brain
saw
Age.
a commercial for Brain Age, now she wants a DS.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's the way to put that. Chris, your picks for the casual non-gamers.
Brain Age. Which we've discussed at full length before.
Ad nauseum, yes.
Anybody can really get into this game. Of course, it's up to them how they really want to treat it. If they can get into it, you still have that whole feature mindset of, are they going to get this? Are they going to accept that this is a video game and they're actually playing it? It depends on how far that person is willing to take it. But it's a good little introductory title for the DS for the non-gamer. And of course, the second choice would be Clubhouse games, because who doesn't play cards? Who doesn't enjoy some kind of a card-based game like Rummy or Solitaire? Plus, on top of it, you got your bowling and your darts, which are those. I always end up going back to them. There's a little something here for everybody. Old Maid. There's a variation of Battleship and Dominoes. So great little package to pick up for anybody who may be even somewhat interested in card or parlor games.
Yeah. Clubhouse has got a lot of honors for me for other categories. This one I had to go a little bit different. Of course, Brain Age is the no-brainer. Brain Age is the title that Nintendo has hoarded out so well to the non-gamer that everybody, I mean, whether they have a DS or not, knows what Brain Age is. So I went ahead and I had to go with Brain Age for my first pick. However, my second pick was something that I've actually done experiments with in the field, and that is pack picks. A lot of people don't like pack picks because they feel it is not enough of a game, it's a tech demo, right. Whatever it is, there's tons of people, and you can go read tons of negative reviews about pack picks. But it's important to note that pack picks is amazing because anybody can draw Pac-Man. I've put a DS in the hands of people who've never played video games, and Pac Picks instantly connects with them. They can draw Pac-Man. They understand the concept of throwing a wall up to block him, to make him move somewhere else. People who don't understand the D-pad, for some reason, understand drawing a wall. So I found that to be extremely accessible to the non-gamer, and that's why it made my second pick.
Nice. That's a good choice. I mean, because that was one of the early releases for the system. You
can probably pick it up for $5-6 if you look around for
it. It's cheap as anything. It's a good little stocking stuffer.
Excellent stocking stuffer. Highly recommended for the non-gamer. Action games. I'll start off this one. Action games was kind of my category. We both kind of created categories just to give you an inner workings of our twisted minds. Chris came up with the idea of doing this holiday wrap-up, and then he went ahead and picked out a few categories.
Core categories, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
genres.
Core categories, genres. And he put his picks, so then I could see his when I was picking mine. And then the next set of categories, I chose the categories and put my picks up first, and then he picked his after seeing mine. So it's kind of interesting to see, how things may have swayed differently based on who picked the categories and who saw things first. So next category up, as I mentioned, is action games. And for me, the action game of the year, hands down, no holds barred, is Pirates of the Caribbean. And I know Chris's wife was really into Pirates of the Caribbean. We had her on the show.
Well, she played through it 2 times, dude, just to get everything in it.
Dude, I think I went through 3 times. Nice. Because the first time I lost my save. I was playing on the Super Card, so I lost my save, so I had to go back and play it again. I couldn't stop until I got everything. That game totally owned my ass. It's your standard kind of 3D run around, beat 'em up. It's fantastic. The graphics are great. The 3D engine is great. The game is great. It's one of my top picks of the year, to be sure. It's definitely one of the ones I put the most time into. My follow-up has to be Metroid Prime Hunters. I played a lot by myself. I don't play it online a lot because there's too many cheaters and people that piss me off online. Thanks to the action replay. But Metroid Prime Hunters is a good game to play alone. You can just hop on, throw a few bots on there. I'm not good at those games anyway. So, it doesn't matter if the bots aren't like super uber elite intelligent because they can kick my ass anyway. So it definitely provides me, and from a technological standpoint, if you're looking for something for Generation Gimme Johnny that got a DS instead of a PSP and he's pissed at you now.
Oh, Metroid Prime Hunters is
get him Metroid Prime Hunters. You will be all aces. That's the game. Chris, your thoughts?
Well, you've already mentioned it. Pirates of the Caribbean would be my choice.
Yeah.
It's really, to be honest, there's really nothing else like it on DS at this moment. A 3D action brawler.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
It's just straight out. There's not really much intelligence going on in this game. You're just running around, kicking and stabbing and picking up stuff. It's all 3D. The engine's really solid, very well done. It amazes me. You turn around and it shows how horrible something like Tomb Raider DS was on its own. That was from a company that's been around a while, and here this is your typical run of the mill, shovelware, I guess you could say, movie license from Disney, and it was pulled off very well. And I highly recommend it. Now that the price has dropped, especially.
Yeah, it was a little tough to go out at, what was it? Was it $39 originally or $34?
I think most of the Buena Vista Disney space games have come out to those high prices. Yeah. So now I think I've seen it for $20, $30 now. So it's definitely come down. Yeah,
if you can pick up a used copy, all the better. Pick it up for $24. Use your discount card. walk away with it for just over 20 bones, no pun intended. And yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's the action game that I'd have to recommend. Most replay value. Wife. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, finish that off. I'm sorry. I knew your wife was going to come in somewhere.
She's just any game that she loves these kind of run and jump and kill, anything kind of games. So if she approved of it, obviously it can't be that bad in terms of action.
Yeah, so she's not a non-gamer, but she's farther off the spectrum than we are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Next category is what's got the most replay value. This is one of those categories that's really important to me and a lot of other people. It's like, I'm going to buy this cool game, but if it's over tomorrow, was it worth my $30? So these are the games that we have played the most over the last year. Number one up, of course, is Clubhouse games. Whenever I need a quick fix of something, I'm out of time, I have 10 or 15 minutes, I'm on my way to the crapper, whatever. It is the ultimate filler game if you want to just pop down a game of cards. If you need to play, if you need a human, you can always find someone to play online. It's the best value, and it's not even a pricey game. It's not one of those $39 games. So that's definitely got a lot of replay value. And I don't know what else I can say about it. Most of them are single card play. So if you need a person to play with, and your little sister or your mom or your dad or somebody has a DS and they don't have the game, then you can share one card, which is fantastic. Good value.
It's awesome. It's totally awesome.
Truly awesome. And then the game that keeps on giving, just like Herpes, as was previously mentioned, Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing Wild World. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was going to say it's much like the Jelly of the Month Club, the gift that keeps on giving year-round.
Year-round. Yeah, Animal Crossing, for those of you who are not in the know, we did review, I think, the title early on in the show. And Animal Crossing is one of those games that it's sort of like a real-time scenario where your life inside the game is around the same time frame that it is now. So you can, as you're playing, if you play in the summertime, it's summer in your Wild World. If it's winter, then it's wintertime in your Wild World. Right now, if I turned on my DS, I would find that it's wintertime. I might see some snow on the ground. There's different bugs to collect. There's all sorts of different things based on the season. So
bugs, fish.
That was the other thing I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's like you can get bored of the game, and then wait a month, and then the game becomes something completely new again after the season changes. I mean, last year, just to give you an idea, this is how lame that I am and how lame we are as a family. On New Year's Eve, instead of being out drunk driving on the road like the rest of America, we were sitting with, all three of us had our copy of Animal Crossing open and running so we could watch the New Year's Eve countdown on Animal Crossing. And all of us were about 30 seconds apart. So each one of us in turn got to see the celebration separately.
That's funny.
Isn't that great? I mean,
And then you get little poppers, too, which is great, too.
Yeah, you get party poppers. I think from the mayor. The mayor gives them to you, and you can pop them.
Yeah.
Dude, how cool is that? I mean, that's class. That's a class game. And it's something that my wife and I just played forever, and I still pick it up and go play. And what's great is if you haven't played it for a while, you come back and your town is trashed. You spend like the next 3 days picking out
the neglect of weeds and
stomping
and
the bugs out of your house. You get cockroaches and.
It's really good. It's its own little world.
Yeah, and it's always available. Just turn it on and you're there. It's great.
There's always something to do in it, and these two games are also my picks. Either way, I mean, you can't go wrong with the replay value. There's some value here. Clubhouse games. I mean, I can't imagine ever getting tired of that because these are games that have been around for centuries now.
Yeah.
So that's what it seems like, and regardless of another handheld system coming around, the DS, this game is never going to go old because, I mean, think of all the people who still play solitaire on Windows. Right?
Exactly. My wife is totally
it's bare
solitaire.
Essentials. Yeah. It's bare essentials. I mean, this does what it needs to do. It plays the games the way they are intended to be played, the card games. So you don't need anything high-tech to play solitaire, So, but Animal Crossing, I mean, tons of value there. You're always going to come back to it. And like Sage said, at any point during the year, you can find different types of bugs, different types of fish. They're not all there at all times. So, say in the spring, you may find, certain bugs that aren't going to be there, obviously, in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Or butterflies.
Exactly.
They'll have their seasons. So it's really cool stuff. Yeah. So moving on, we have the adventure game genre now, which is something else Shane threw in there.
Yeah, that's mine.
And it took me a minute to... Yeah, it took me... Go ahead.
No, please. I mean, go ahead and start. I mean, I was just saying that was my game, my title there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you
my category. We got it now.
Yes.
Yeah, move on.
Are you happy now?
Yes, thank you.
So,
nothing to see here. Please move on.
So, yeah, it was a little hard for me to choose something here because I'm thinking, well, let's see. We have action, we have RPG, and we have platformer, and a lot of this stuff that makes up adventure was kind of found in all those other genres. Now, I'm going to go out a little bit on the fence here and say that the game I'm recommending is yet another movie title. It's called Aragon, and the movie will be out in the theater soon. I know it's based on the books. I've never read them. I really don't have any care to it, and I was ready to dismiss the game, not only because it's a movie-based game, but it's something that just doesn't really interest me. The IP alone doesn't interest me. I know nothing about it, and it doesn't look interesting at all. Yeah. It looks like a wannabe Lord of the Rings.
Or even more so, wannabe Harry Potter.
Dungeons and Dragons, too. Yeah, I'm heading Harry Potter.
Exactly.
So it was very, very simple to dismiss this game until I gave it a shot, and I was amazed at what I found. That the game, much like Pirates of the Caribbean, really pulls off a fantastic little 3D engine. And I think you were even saying it could be that this is the same engine.
Yeah, they're both by Amaze Entertainment, dude, so I'm guessing.
Oh, is it? It is
Amaze.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, sure.
Because I was just going to say, I wasn't sure if you checked to see. When you mentioned that, I'm thinking, I didn't even think to check the companies out. So, obviously, they're trying to get their money's worth. It does seem like it's a tweaked engine, though. I mean, there's a little more...
There's different things to it, to be sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little adventure game. I mean, there's a lot of hack and slash. It really reminded me of the console versions of the Lord of the Rings games. Like the Two Towers and Return of the King, where you're running around hacking and killing things. And I guess in that regard, it's much like Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. But, if you can get by the key, and tend to just kind of downplay that a little bit, you'll find the game is actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I got to look at the demo. It's actually available as a download off the DS download station number 4.
Nice.
So you can actually get a demo. It's not a clip. It's an actual playable demo where you can actually use the bow and arrow and stuff, and that's way cool. So
yeah, the bow and arrow is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can right into it and just fire, and it is a little tough to fire them, I found, but
it's interesting.
Maybe eventually,
I think they pulled off the control scheme very well, considering what they could have done with it, which would have been totally gay. They pulled off something that was actually very well done. So kudos to Amaze. You're almost making up for Star Wars, the Lego Star Wars original trilogy, which you guys totally blew apart. Anyway, but we're not here to diss on Star Wars trilogy. My choices for adventure.
We've done
enough of that. Listen to the old shows. My choices for adventure games. One of the games that immediately I don't think it was a launch title, but it was close to launch. Was Lost in Blue, a Konami adventure game. If you've seen the TV show Lost, this is Lost with kids alone on an island. I mean, basically that's it. And it is what I would call an adventure survival game. Not survival as in there's zombies running around the island trying to kill you, but survival where you start the game at the break of death. I mean, literally, you die so many times the first couple of times you play it, which probably frustrates the crap out of people and causes people not to play it. But you really have to get on the ball and get your crap together quick. If you're near death on a deserted island, your ship just wrecked, you're going to be in dire straits. You're not going to walk onto the island with clean teeth and fresh underwear and whatever it is else that, that these adventure games have you do. You literally have to find food right now. You have to find water right now. You have to figure out where you're going to stay for that. You got to find shelter right now. And it was a very interesting game. Apparently it's a sort of a sequel or re-envisioning of Survival Kids, which I did not play, but I understand it's a lot like that. And Lost in Blue 2 is coming out, which I'm just totally jonesing for because the first one was so good. And so that would probably be my top choice for an adventure game. If you're looking for the adventure survival type game, that's really it. The other game that my wife was totally hooked on, I could not really get into it, but both my wife and my kid got into it, was the immensely popular Trace Memory, which is one of those games where if you liked Myst or if you like those sort of how do you call those?
Point and click, slide and move.
Yeah, interactive adventures like that.
That's a good
Trace
one, yeah.
memory is absolutely fantastic, and apparently it's also very, very clever. One of the puzzles, which my wife, I think, had to look up on a walkthrough, was she was presented with a piece of wood, an empty piece of wood, and on the top screen was something weird. She couldn't tell what it was. It was like some inverse word or something written in script, and she could not figure out how to solve this puzzle. What it turned out was that the top part of the screen was a branding iron.
Huh.
And in order to solve the puzzle, you had to close the lid on the DS to push the branding iron into the wood.
Oh, that's crazy.
To burn that name into the wood. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, that is so damn clever.
It's probably spoiler tag that.
Yeah, that's a spoiler tag. But but anyway, so I thought that was like one of the coolest things ever. My wife was totally addicted to the game. She played it all the way through without stopping. So I thought that was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. So that would be my two choices for adventure games. How about sports? Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like most of the time I could care less about sport games. I have to get real arcade-ish when it comes to arcade games or sporting games. I can't play heavy simulations like Gran Turismo or those really heavy stat-based football games. That's just not fun to me. I like the arcade action. Give me NBA Jam. Give me NFL Blitz. Give me that high octane arcade style. So that being said, you probably could figure out my number one pick. Yeah, Cyberball. That's a perfect example. Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Pigskin AD.
Yeah. Nice. Too bad they didn't make a game out of that weird, goofy ball game that they played in the original Battlestar Galactica. I always thought that'd be a cool home game to have. What did they call that? Triad? No, that try whatever.
Oh, I totally don't remember.
I don't remember. Anyway, so speaking of try, my number one pick for sporting games this year had to have been Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Made by Square Enix, the people who brought us the absolutely fantastic Final Fantasy III. The game is so polished, oozes so much graphically. The gameplay gets changed up. There's tons to do, a variety of options in terms of how to play it with controls. We've reviewed it on a previous show, so you'll want to look that back up. But by far one of my favorite arcade-type basketball games, and it definitely deserved the honor. And my follow-up to that, strangely enough, I used to be really big into Tiger Woods because I loved the control system. The tactile feeling of striking a golf ball with a stylus is so much better than that dual analog or that 3-button push crap. And that was like my favorite golf game for a long time. I couldn't ever imagine playing a golf game that wasn't Tiger Woods because of the ingenuity of the swing. Well, then Nintendo released True Swing Golf, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to let Chris talk more about it because he's actually played it more than I have. I noticed it's on his list as well. I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, definitely.
But,
I mean, it was one of the first games, if not one of the first games we reviewed on our show. And the tactile feel of the control, just sliding the stylus into the ball, it's so easy to pick up too. It's actually a good game for the casual non-gamer as well.
It is.
It's very easy to pick up and play. Once you figure out the mechanics of it, you're kind of saying to yourself, "Oh, okay, this is what I have to do." You get an idea of how hard or how fast you have to swing the stylus to swing the ball, more or less. This is one of the games I actually introduced a coworker to who's no longer with us, but I said to him, I had my wife's DS and I had mine. I said, "Hey, you want to try some golf?" And within 5 minutes, he was ready to go and all set and ready to play. Strike it off to the tee. So
single card play. That's another good point to that one.
Which is how we were able to play.
That was absolutely fabulous.
And it's perfect because you get 9 holes, which is fantastic. I mean, you don't need a full 18-hole. I found a lot of 18-hole games. I tend to fall asleep, towards about the 11th or 12th hole. So 9 holes is perfect, and you get a nice little sense of how the game plays. The mechanics are fantastic. A lot of people are probably going to scoff at the graphics initially.
I didn't think it was that bad, to be honest with you.
No. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's fine. But you get the people who've played Hot Shots on the PSP, and they're going to see this and say, "Well, wait a minute," But on the other hand, Hot Shots is using the old tried and true method of, press A and then press A again, and then boom, your ball's hit.
Yeah.
This actually needs you to be involved. So there's a lot more gameplay, a lot more intuitiveness to the whole mechanics of it.
Yeah, next to golfing on the Wii, the Nintendo Wii, this is probably as close to golfing as you're going to get. And it's fantastic. I can't recommend it enough.
Yes.
Yeah, video golf. Anyway. Yes, moving right along to the racing genre, the racing category. This was one I can't believe that Chris didn't come up with because so many people are into the racing stuff, and there's so many racing games on the DS, it's almost sickening. But there's only a couple that really stand out. Of course, the no-brainer's Mario Kart. You can't have a DS and not own Mario Kart. I don't care who you are. You have to have Mario Kart. Beg, borrow, steal.
It's one of the first couple games you should definitely get up and purchase the system. It's such a polished game.
It's a truly
it
polished
needs to be
game.
bought. It's mandatory.
Yeah, it's a mandatory thing, and you can get it for next to nothing. There's used copies all over the place. It's definitely worth picking up. My follow-up is a recent entry into the racing genre on the DS, Asphalt GT2, which was recently lambasted on our forums for feeling like a cell phone port. And while he tried to explain it to me, because I asked him, I said, well, why would you say that? And he's like, well, they start overanalyzing this stuff. It's like, but it's fun. It doesn't play like a cell phone game. The controls are actually, responsive. And Asphalt GT's always been kind of fun to me because it's sort of like Burnout. They give you bonuses for doing dumb things, and I like that. They give you more nitro. I don't know. I find the game extremely fun, and I've got to have that arcade racer feel. Screw Ridge Racer. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's like, oh, Ridge Racer. You know what? Screw Ridge Racer. What the hell is the fun of running around a track?
I like Ridge Racer.
I don't understand liking Ridge Racer.
Well, Ridge Racer is more arcade. It's nothing like Gran Turismo. It's not a simulation.
Yeah, but you don't do anything in it.
Based.
You just run around the track.
It's pure racing. Yeah,
that's boring. That's like Daytona. That's like Daytona USA. There's no hidden tracks. There's no nitro. There's no weapons. There's no awesome crashes. There's no sense of great speed. It's like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Well, of course. I mean, if you threw, say Burnout, Takedown or whatnot at me and Ridge Racer, chances are I'd probably play Burnout because it's a little more interesting. I'd rather cause 10-car collisions in Burnout than, just do a circle track in Ridge Racer. But again, I guess I don't know. I haven't really played many of the newer Ridge Racers. I was really a big fan of Part 4 on the PlayStation. That was a blast.
Yeah, okay. Maybe my problem is my limited experience with Ridge Racer, which is on the DS. And no.
The DS version is terrible.
Okay, good. I mean that's good.
Which is it's more or less based on the N64 version, which was also terrible.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
The PlayStation Ridge Racer 4 though is just the whole thing is just a little more. It's got a lot more finesse and polish to it.
I might have to check that.
It also doesn't help that, I'm a sucker for like kind of Namco stuff. So, when you're racing a car that's got the word Xevious written on it and a picture of Pac-Man and whatnot and Puka from Dig Dug.
Okay, yeah, that is kind of cool. I'll give you that. But then if you want to go with the IP love, and you go with Mario Kart, dude, because then you got everybody.
Well, of course.
Then you got
top
everybody.
Of the tier.
But,
right. And by the way, real quick, I want to make an honorable mention to the whole sports category. I would have to say also that I would actually take, instead of Mario Hoops for me, I would probably have thrown in FIFA 06. Now, that's FIFA 06, not 07, because I personally found 06 to play a lot better. I mean, I know people are going to say 07 had some minor graphical updates and, maybe a little more polished, but I really thought 06 played a lot better. It was a lot smoother. Everything just seemed to handle a lot better. I don't know what it is. So, just wanted to throw that.
That's good. That's good. You talked a lot about it, and you've played it so much. I mean, I'm just not a soccer fan, so
obviously it's a very, and I'm going to say this properly for the people in the forum. It's a very niche, sport for Americans.
It's a niche sport. It's a niche sport. Niche game. Yes.
I'm sorry. So
you say niche, I say niche. Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Niche, right. It's something that a lot of people probably aren't going to go for unless they're a dedicated fan of the sport.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a lot of fun. I know I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of everyone enjoys it. It's probably the game that got him to pick up DS last year.
Yeah, I like to think of any game that actually inspires somebody who would never own a DS to own a DS. Probably should get an honorable mention, but we don't have that much time. So,
and the other thing that's better about the 06 version is it has people play also. The 07 version does not. Go figure.
Yeah, that's weird.
Another reason I would recommend the 06 edition of the game, which can be found dirt cheap for like $20.
Yeah.
I saw it at Kmart, I think, for $14.99 on clearance. So
exactly.
We went over for Christmas decorations last week, so I never set foot. I don't know why, but I guess this is not me.
I don't think Brian likes FIFA 06. He's unhappy. You hear him?
Yeah, I hear him.
He doesn't like FIFA 06.
All right. Enough soccer.
Yeah.
We'll go into the final little category here, which is something we had at the last minute. It's for games that we really can't narrow down into a genre or category of their own. They're kind of off the beaten path.
Yeah.
So we're going to be calling them the honorable mentions category, which made me think of FIFA to begin with.
Right.
So you want to give the first couple, or just list them if you want?
Yeah. Well, honorable mentions. Metroid Pinball gave our family a lot of joy, and aside from a couple of very glaring problems with it, like no multi-card play, only one board for multiplayer, it really is a great game to play multiplayer, but it's so limited in its aspects that it kind of took a hit. But that being said, the game is totally some of the best video pinball I've ever played, and that says a lot. So that was definitely an honorable mention.
The multiplayer is fantastic.
It is. It would be even more, it could have been more fantastic, but as it is, it's good.
And then the one thing I really wish they did with the multiplayer was to give you the option to increase the high score that has to be reached.
Yeah, because
I found the 500,000 is just it's for a pinball game. I mean that's low.
Yeah, it's like a 30-second match. No matter how bad you are, you'll still get that in like 30 seconds. So it becomes more of a race than a test of skill. Cooking Mama, which is another one of those games that managed to put the DS in the hands of some of the non-gamers. Cooking Mama is a tactile cooking game. My kid was really into it big time. Your wife, I think, you said she was into it, right?
Oh, yeah. She blew right through the thing. Yeah. And it's nice because it's a cheaper title. Along with Metroid Pinball, they both go, and especially Metroid Pinball, they both go for $20 right now.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
And then Metroid Pinball comes with the Rumble Pack. So there you go, right there. You're getting a Rumble Pack and the game for $20.
Yeah, there's no brainer. Don't have it.
And I think they sell the Rumble Pack alone for $10.
Yeah, they do. So that's like a $10 game.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's I'd have to recommend Cooking Mama and Metroid Pinball. And then finally we have one of the more recent releases that we've reviewed last show, was it? Elite Beat Agents. Anybody who's played the Winden, that's another one. If you'd like this, you might want to import that. Elite Beat Agents we just went on and on about last show, so we weren't going to regurgitate too much.
Yeah, and for some reason, if you were dumb enough to buy Happy Feet and you played the rhythm part of that, imagine that on steroids with great music, with a lot better gameplay, and that's what Elite Beat Agents is. Basically. Yeah. More or less.
Yeah, I mean, except avoid Happy Feet.
Yeah, please don't buy Happy Feet. That wasn't an endorsement. I was saying that if you got suckered into buying Happy Feet, like for your kids or something, and you saw that and you go, hey, that might be cool if, one, the music didn't suck, and two, the game didn't suck, then...
And the IP didn't suck.
Basically, if this game completely didn't suck, it would be Elite Beat Agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
So highly recommending those three games. We really couldn't pinpoint them on our typical list there, but that's the way it goes, and we had to mention them.
All right, well, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. This is Shane Armonroe.
And this is Chris Henschel again. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, we appreciate it.
We'll see you next week or so.
Yeah, and remember, listening is good.
Is good. Bye-bye.